Okay, so greetings to all viewers, professors, and classmates. So this is our final demo, and in this video, we will recap about what we have done in the first demo, and also we will add uh, some new features and functionalities that we haven't implemented before in the first demo. And yes, to start talking about the uh, final product, we will give a short overview about our driver manager system. So we will talk about who is uh, the driver manager system for, and also what is it for as well. So there are three main stakeholders that we have identified. So this is the same stakeholders that we mentioned in the first demo. The first stakeholder would be the companies. So mainly the main functionality that those companies would benefit from our system is the driver.record. So in these functionalities, those companies can use our system in order to store the data of their driver employees, specifically the important documents such as um, driver license, family book, and also some other essential documents that the companies wanted from their driver employees. Nowadays, companies use pen and paper method in order to store, to write all the documents of their employees. So our systems provide an efficient way and a digital way for uh, those companies to store all the their driver employees data in our system. And for the second stakeholders are the drivers. So the new functionality that we haven't implemented in the first demo, and now we have implemented it, is the job listing functionality. So what is it for? Job listing uh, enables drivers to search for any vacant positions that is offered by our registered companies. So some drivers that they currently does not have any job, they can search for one through our job listing functionality. And last but not least is some other general users. Compared to these two previous stakeholders, general users have limited privileges. They can only view the profiles of the drivers and companies. We have also add another functionality for them as well. And also, this functionality is called complaint log. So, what is this functionality for? So, through this system, through this complaint log, users and also companies as well can use this to make a evaluation or a ratings to the drivers, to let other users and other companies know whether they should employ or trust the drivers or not. So it will promote the drivers' ethics in their work, and also to increase their quality of their work performance as well. So the complaint log will enable users and companies to give evaluations to the driver's work performance, that is. And in the next part, we will present a live demonstrations about how those functionalities will work. as well.
Okay, my name is Jishan Vot, and in this demo tool, I'm gonna talk about the backend side. A little introduction to it. Our system have 3 different roles, where each role have different access permission. And to solve this problem, because the role could access the same API but receive different data back, and the way we solve this is by finding a way to modularize our code so that we can reuse instead of checking the permission in every controller or every action. And we found a neat solution to this in Sales.js in config and policies. This file is the file that runs first before it runs the controller action. This file manages the policies that need to run also. For example, if we want to update the user, we have to check if we can specify as many as we want, but for this action I verify 2 of the policies. The first one is that the currently logged in user must be at least an admin, or if you want to verify it as a super, you can specify it as well. And for this specific update action, I want to check that the user must belong to its own company as well before updating the user. Let's look at one of that in API, policies, and user belong to. And here we can see that instead of writing all this code in every action, we write it in the policy. If the currently logged in user have the role of 3, we get this role from when we verify the token. The user logged in user information is stored in sales global variable, and so we can check if the requested ID is the same as the currently logged in user ID. And if you're an admin, it checks the requested user and find out if the requested user belongs to the same company as the logged in user. But if you're super, you have the access right away. Here we execute the OK function, so the system knows that it is okay to proceed to the API file in here. And it's the same for the driver. If we want to modify any driver, we must make sure that the driver belongs to the currently logged in admin, the same company. But in this documents API, we cannot do that. It's not really efficient. Checking permission in each of those API is better and faster. And let's look at it in action. First, we want to see what it's like to log in as a super administrator. When you click the users tab, you can see that it lists all the user in here, the all available user. And because the super administrator has access or the privilege to modify any of it or delete any of it. But when we looked into one of the normal admin, you can see that this changes to my company instead. And when you click it, this is your own company. And when you try to access other people's company, you couldn't do that. The permission, the policy will not allow you to do that. And when we see the users tab, you can see that all these users only belongs to this company and not other company. And I also want to take this opportunity to show our new feature into the system called the job listing. And here in my company tab, you can see this beautiful table, and it is all the job posted by this company. And this job tab posts all the job from all the company, but currently I only have 2 from this specific company. And you can also add any job you want so that other user could see it, could look at it and contact through the company, and the owner, the admin, can also delete those job listings as well. And that's the functionality and what's going on in the backend to prevent the access to any specific API. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jivat. In this video, I am going to show and demonstrate some new improvements that we have made to our application. I will also show new infrastructure design and security handling such as tokens, sessions, and cookies. Alright, so here we are in the codes itself. So this is all the codes for our proxy server. So proxy server is basically a middleware that serves to handle requests from clients. In this case, our proxy server will handle requests from the clients and forward that request to the API. This is important because in the future we might change our front end and we do not want to rewrite everything. Also, we want to reduce our API for mobile applications and desktop applications. Our proxy server will also handle sessions and tokens, which is so crucial to our clients. Alright, so let's dive into the codes themselves. So this proxy server is written on top of Node.js. So as you can see, everything is JavaScript based. The structure relies heavily on Sales.js, which is a framework based on Express. As you can see, the most important thing in the API is the controller. So the controller is basically the logic behind all the operations. So let's take a look at create company. Since this is a proxy server, there is not much logic behind it. So all it does is basically taking all the inputs or the request from the front end and basically forward that to the backend API, which in this case is this link. So we create a company by sending or forward a request to this link, company create, and as a result it will create these inputs: ID, name, address, phone, business type, and that's for the same as others. It's basically forward the request from the front end to the backend API. The next important thing is the policies. This is where we handle tokens and policies for each users. We only allow the user to proceed if so we only allow the user to proceed without login if the session is found on Redis. So if this sessions is found on Redis, then we allow that user to proceed without login. But if not, then that user is forbidden to do certain operations and will have to go and log in. And we can store sessions on our database called Redis, which is a memory-based database. Next, we'll move on to the config folder, which is basically where we customize a few things. So we config a file, policies. We basically take from the policies part and configure it here. So here we will check everything through its login. So every operation will test it through its login policies. What that means is that if that user is authenticated, then that user is allowed, or if that user is not found on the Redis session, then that user has to log in. Otherwise, other operations such as entrance, which includes sign up and login, does not require to go through each login. It will just directly go there. Otherwise, our user will not be able to use our application to sign in or sign up. In the session file, we define our Redis database. So it's adapter, host, and port. And that's pretty much for the proxy server. Thank you.
Okay, now I'm gonna show you what we have built so far. And what you're seeing now is the landing page. It is just a typical landing page design that we haven't put any real contents, just some dummy text, because it is faster for the design and the landing page is not that important. So yeah, we have the hero, then we have the team, we have the features part, some blog parts, and then the footer. Okay, so here's the coolest part. So to run this website, I'm opening 3 text editor. One is for the front end. This is what I'm doing. This is what I have done. This is the backend calling SVL, or they call the API URL, and this is another one is where the API is built, like the search function, the login page, stuff like that. So now let's go to it. So login, and for now I don't have any user, so I have to create a user for me. ID, put this one, company name, let's put my name, address, open, contact, just choose one, it's okay, and so it gives me the username and the password to log in. So I'm gonna have to copy the password. Okay, if it directly to the login. So the username is Rasmai underscore admin, and the password I copy. So it directs me to the dashboard. This is the dashboard. There's not many things, and I can view drivers. So this is the drivers part. It fetches from the database real time, and it means that it fetches the data in Pagnition. For example, like this is the first page. For example, like there are like 1,000 drivers. So when it first comes to this dashboard, it doesn't fetch 1,000 drivers. We determine the amount of drivers that we want to fetch because we don't want to slow down the server. So when the user click on the next page, it's not to fetch more data along the way, not fetch all data all at once. Okay, and you can add new drivers. This is where I upload photo, and you can add here. Click save. That's the user part. Currently for my status there is no user because my role that I just enrolled is just a normal user, so I cannot view other users. But if I log in as admin, I can view the users. Logout. go to the login page. This time I log in as admin. There's the user. Because as the admin, I can view the information of the users. Again, this information is fetches information. It means that it doesn't fetch all the data at once. It just fetches when you click on the next page. So yes, that's what we have built, and most of the main features have worked. There's small features like the notification that we haven't done yet. And thank you for watching, and I hope you like what we built.